There are many myths and misconceptions about masculinity out there. Many individuals believe that in order to be considered masculine, you must act in a specific manner and adhere to certain standards. Yet this is not the case for Sigma males. In truth, there are numerous factors that might undermine your masculinity, and it is critical to be aware of them. So if you want to keep your life together, stay away from these 8 huge traps. 1. Being worried about what others think. Caring about what people think of you is one of the worst mistakes you can make. You should be confident in yourself and your talents as a man and not let other people's ideas influence how you act or who you are. Remember that you will never be able to please everyone, so don't waste your time trying. Your masculinity comes from within, not from how much validation or admiration you receive from others. Don't let other people's opinions make you feel bad about yourself. Not only does this make you less masculine, but it also takes away your happiness and self-esteem. Maintaining your confidence can be particularly difficult in today's world, as everyone is constantly bombarded with messages and images of how they should look. Yet you don't have to live up to these expectations to be considered masculine. Instead, concentrate on building your own distinct sense of style and individuality that makes you feel at ease and confident. Giving up your sense of self is one of the most damaging things you can do to your masculinity, so find ways to stay loyal to yourself. If you do this, you'll be able to keep your manhood and confidence no matter what life throws at you. 2. Keeping a toxic relationship going. If you're in a toxic relationship, it will have a significant impact on your masculinity. If you feel like someone is continually knocking you down, criticizing your decisions, or making you feel horrible about yourself, whether it's with your relationship or pals, it's time to walk on. Being in a toxic relationship can make you feel less of a guy while also draining your motivation and drive. When you try to cope with the stress and sadness, it can also lead to self-destructive actions. Nevertheless, if you learn to detect the indications of a toxic relationship, you can avoid this entirely. Feeling consistently sad or down, having regular conflicts, feeling neglected or taken for granted, and not being able to be yourself around your spouse are all symptoms that it's time to quit a relationship. If you're in a toxic relationship, you need to figure out how to get out. This will not only help you keep your masculinity, but it will also allow you to be happy and content in other areas of your life. You should concentrate on choosing better individuals to surround yourself with, people who will support and inspire you rather than tear you down. This does not mean that you must fully isolate yourself from the outside world. It does, however, imply that you should be cautious about who you allow into your life and consider how these interactions influence you. If something doesn't feel right, or if individuals make you feel horrible about yourself, it's time to reconsider such relationships and either focus on fixing them or walk on. You can keep your confidence and be loyal to yourself by taking charge of your relationships and letting rid of the poisonous ones. 3. Waste your time. Our time is one of our most valuable resources, yet it is surprisingly easy to waste. Many people fall victim to classic time wasters, such as scrolling through social media or binge-watching TV for hours on end, which obviously results in a lot of missed opportunities for growth and self-improvement. People can't help but get hooked into social media's never-ending news stream, which has been demonstrated to have a harmful impact on our mental health. At the same time, excessive TV viewing can be detrimental to our physical health, since it has been linked to increased rates of obesity and chronic disease. This will not only deplete our energy and productivity, but it will also severely impair our self-esteem. We don't see the full scope of our acts until it's too late, and we've squandered a lot of time. Growing older makes us reflect on all the possibilities we missed because we were too focused on unimportant distractions. So how can you avoid squandering your valuable time? The greatest technique is to be deliberate about it and ensure that everything you do is consistent with your values and aims. This is being aware of how you spend your time and being disciplined enough to say no to things that do not help you grow as a person. Find ways to decrease your exposure to these time wasters, whether it's a toxic person, social media, or another source of distraction. Simultaneously, ensure that you create time in your calendar for the things that are genuinely important, such as self-improvement and meaningful relationships. You may avoid wasting your valuable time this way and instead utilize it to boost your confidence and achieve better success in life. 4. Wanting something but not doing anything to get it. This is the most prevalent trap that we all fall into on occasion. When we want something, it's simple to make it into something bigger than it is. We may picture how our lives will alter after we finally achieve what we want, and it may feel as if nothing will ever be the same again. Nevertheless, as many of us have discovered the hard way, wanting something rather than working towards it can leave us stagnant and hinder us from attaining our goals. When we want something, we frequently concentrate on the ultimate product rather than the effort required to achieve it. We begin to imagine all of the hurdles in our path or what might go wrong, which causes us to feel disheartened or overwhelmed. This leads to procrastination or avoidance, which prevents us from taking significant action toward our objectives. Focusing on the process rather than the outcome is one method to avoid this common pitfall. Rather than focusing on what you want and how difficult it will be to achieve it, take a step back and consider what you need to do to get there. This can assist you in remaining motivated and focused even when things become difficult or unpleasant along the route. Being caught up in our emotions and feelings frequently inhibits us from taking the actual steps required to achieve our objectives. We frequently find ourselves daydreaming about what we want rather than taking the concrete measures that will help us get there. We were taught that if we use the law of attraction and focus on what we desire, it will come to us. In fact, however, this strategy only leads to disappointment and anger. To avoid falling into this trap, we must recognize the importance of effort and hard work in reaching our goals. Rather than focusing simply on what we want or how we will feel once we have it, we should concentrate on the stages and methods that will help us get there. The law of attraction is tempting in theory, yet it is insufficient on its own. Don't be misled by the hype. Instead, concentrate on doing action. It makes no difference how much you desire something or how strongly you believe in the law of attraction. It will not happen unless you take action. 5. Chasing superficial relationships. Pursuing meaningless relationships is, at its essence, an attempt to fill a gap or desire within ourselves. When we are lonely or anxious, we seek out partnerships in the expectation that they may fix our difficulties. Nevertheless, this is rarely the case because these kind of relationships rarely result in actual fulfillment and contentment. To be clear, there is nothing wrong with wanting to connect with others in meaningful ways. Indeed, social interaction is a basic human need that can make us feel supported and valued. The problem emerges when we pursue these relationships for the wrong reasons, such as seeking validation or filling a gap within ourselves. When we pursue meaningless relationships, we invariably compromise our demands and prioritize the interests of others above our own, which can lead to feelings of resentment and dissatisfaction over time. This is especially detrimental in love relationships, as we frequently go to great lengths to make our spouse happy. This has a direct impact on our self-esteem and confidence, as we begin to doubt our capacity to attract and retain the proper people. We eventually lose faith in our own judgment and intuition, and we may feel as if there's nothing left for us in this world. You must quit chasing the wrong individuals, even if they appear to be the solution to your issues. It's like attempting to catch a falling star. What will you do if you manage to catch it? In the long term, it will only cause additional issues and misery. Instead, work on developing your confidence and self-compassion. This includes being kind to yourself, setting appropriate boundaries with others, and learning to trust your gut instincts when making relationship decisions. 6. Accepting mediocrity. Accepting mediocrity is another method to undermine your confidence. This suggests you are content with being ordinary or good enough, rather than striving for excellence in everything you do. We live in a society that is preoccupied with being good enough, which isn't always a negative thing. We must be realistic about our current situation and our limits. But when we become overly satisfied with just being okay, we begin to harm ourselves. It starts to alter our mindset and prevents us from becoming the best versions of ourselves. It can also have a negative impact on our interpersonal interactions. Consider the last time you had to deal with a poor employee or someone who was simply okay at their job. You probably didn't have the best experience, did you? This is how we communicate to others when we accept mediocrity. We all want to be surrounded by the finest, not just because it feels nice, but also because we perform best when we are around by individuals who hold themselves to a high level. When you start settling for less than you deserve, the quality of your work suffers. Your interpersonal relationships will suffer as a result. Worse, you'll be preventing yourself from attaining your full potential and becoming the person you were born to be. So, how can you prevent settling for second best? The first step is simply being aware of when it occurs. But more than merely being aware, do everything you can to break the behavior. Surround yourself with people who are better than you and understand their talents. Take advantage of any opportunity to learn from them as well. Ultimately, there are numerous advantages to having the mindset of wanting to be the best in all you do. It will make you a better employee, partner, parent, and friend, and who doesn't want that? Sure, getting through challenging conditions might be difficult at times, but the rewards are well worth it in the end. 7. Emotional self-limitation. Another error that many men make is emotionally limiting themselves. We frequently connect masculinity with emotional detachment and control, as if we must always strive to be stern and unemotional. Yet, suppressing our emotions is not only bad, but also impossible. Instead of attempting to restrict or push our feelings, we must learn how to cultivate emotional awareness. This entails being aware of our emotions and acknowledging them, even when they are unpleasant or painful. It also entails developing appropriate ways to express ourselves, whether through talking about our feelings with a friend or journaling about them. Emotional self-awareness is a necessary component of confidence and well-being, and it can aid in the development of resilience. Hence, if we wish to avoid the trap of emotionally limiting ourselves, we must first master this vital skill. We can accomplish this by making time each day for reflection or by seeking out new experiences that allow us to connect with our emotions. Through these activities, we can learn to embrace and express our emotions without judgment or guilt, becoming contented people in the process. 8. Lack of confidence in yourself. Not believing in yourself is one of the most powerful elements that can undermine your confidence. When you lack self-confidence, it can affect every aspect of your life, from how you interact with others to how well you perform at work. Lack of belief stems from an inability to trust oneself and one's own talents. This could be due to a previous failure or even a fear of failure. Perhaps you were always told that you weren't excellent at something, and your self-esteem has suffered as a result. Whatever the source, it can result in feelings of insecurity and a lack of control over your own life. So how can you start believing in yourself again? The first stage is to become more aware of your ideas and attitudes. This implies you must be aware of negative self-talk and avoid becoming engulfed in self-doubt or fear. At the same time, you should find strategies to boost your self-esteem and remind yourself of your accomplishments. It's critical to take things slowly when it comes to gaining confidence and believing in yourself. Understand that your lack of belief did not arise overnight, and it will not be resolved quickly either. Yet, with time and effort, you can make significant progress in regaining your self-esteem and confidence. It's tough to feel good about yourself and your abilities when you don't believe in yourself.